I'm as nervous as you. It's my first interview. So I want to start a series where I interview community college athletes because I feel like everyone always interviews D1 athletes, D2 universities. I don't really see community college athletes really get interviewed. And so that's pretty much what this little series is going to be. Today I'm interviewing
Iván Guzmán.
And he's a pretty damn bro. He runs at a community college, same one I run at, obviously.
Teammates.
Yeah. Runs at Cuyamaca. And we're just gonna get to know him better because I feel like no one really gets to know the athletes better at community colleges, and so they go transit to the 4-year. But even then, they don't really get the same level of respect because they had to go JUCO first, which is nothing wrong with it. So this dude's actually a dog. He is the fastest you're still the fastest in the state, has the fastest time for the 8K and the 4 mile, or just the 8K?
In the 8K, and used to be in the 4 mile, but then there was a lot of races where I'll just say my stats actually.
Yeah, I think it'd be better if he just says it.
Hello, my name is Iván Guzmán. I am a sophomore at Cuyamaca Community College. I have been running since about 12 years old, and my career has spanned from high school to now. In high school, I was ranked as one of the fastest runners in California in Division 5. I ran 9:21 in the 2 mile, 9:17 in the 3200, 15:40 in the 5K, 14:59 in the 3 mile, and 4:28 in the mile. And then transferring from high school to community college, I have ran a 2 mile in 2041, and my more recognizable, well-known achievement is running 24:47 in the 8K, placing 57th in the invite. On top of that, beating what used to be fastest community college runner in California and the fastest and most well-known team in community college.
No shade to the other dude, but he's like 26 in community college still running. So he's kind of in his prime. This dude's like, how old are you?
I am 19.
Yeah, we're like the same age. Damn. So I'm just going to ask you a couple questions. We're going to go off there. Number one, why Cuyamaca?
That's an interesting question, and I ask myself that a lot, and I'm just joking. But so coming from high school, I had a lot of high school pedigree. I placed I think within top 12 in my state meet in Fresno, and I was a CIF Division 3 3200 champion. So I had a lot of hype, a lot of intensity coming out of high school. I was actually given offers. I actually had a lot of offers. I had offers from about 4 schools, and 2 were pretty much competing. And I was actually going to go straight to a 4-year from high school. Everything was cemented. We already had the financial stuff. Financially, they were willing to give a lot in scholarship money. They were both respectable schools, especially in Division 2. But unfortunately, I never got my financial aid. It never came in due to the system crashing, them trying to change it. And unfortunately, I was unable to actually go to a 4-year. So in that period, I actually, surprisingly and in a funny way, I actually went to San Diego Mesa. But then I had a lot of complications with that, and then I eventually came to Cuyamaca, and haven't regretted it since. And I think it was just mainly because of the background of the school in general. I knew that there were some very well-known athletes that came out of this program, and I felt like a piece of advice I got was you can run fast anywhere, and it doesn't matter what school, what place. You don't even need a whole bunch of anything. All you just need is a determined team and talent, and thankfully I had the ability and the blessing to be able to have the talent and the work ethic. And then I had incredible coaching at this program that I wouldn't trade for anything else.
I would trade a Hot Pocket, maybe a Starbucks cup. No, I'm joking. What's your major, and why did you pick this major?
I major in clinical psychology, which is a very interesting pathway in the sense of psychology is a very interesting major in general, because psychology, well known in the world, has actually been more recently respected in a sense.
Yeah, a lot more people are talking about it.
Yeah, especially in our generation. Statistically speaking, there has been an increase. I'll give an example. In the rates of depression, there has been an increase in depression, which could be a signal of people are gonna. It's actually more so of the fact that we actually have the ability to actually diagnose it, and people not being afraid to say it. And I feel like for me specifically, I grew up in a immigrant household where mental health wasn't really spoke about. Especially, it's commonly known that people that come across from the border that are of Hispanic background, less than half of them, like I think like 30 to 50% don't seek out like therapy or psychological help. So I felt like it was my responsibility to be able to make an impact in there. And also I just like learning about the human mind. I mean, who doesn't? This thing is more complicated than the universe. So I mean, like, who doesn't want to know about it?
Okay, so he's a nerd. For those of you guys out there, he's a nerd. What's your, if you don't mind saying, what's your GPA?
4.0.
Yeah, he's a nerd. 4.0, that's his major. He's a nerd.
I'm just a try hard.
He's a nerd.
I'm just a try. Hey, my mom wants me to go to school, so.
What do you usually do when you're not training your race? Like the off season, like what goes through your mind during the off season, or even just like after practice when you're just chilling on your own?
I think it's really important to emphasize the fact that up to a certain level in your career, in any sort of sports, anything, literally anything, you're always going to be thinking about your sport and you're going to be doing things for your sport in general. But I think the important thing is emphasizing one detail, and this will come in to answer the question. I am not Ivan the runner. I'm just Ivan. I'm Ivan the brother, Ivan the friend, Ivan the teammate, Ivan the son, Ivan the student, Ivan the whatever you know, whatever you can say. So outside of running, I just live my life pretty much as anyone else does. I go to school, I work here and there, I do homework, I clean, I help my mom, I go for walks, and I like art, I like observing art, obviously studying my major, studying running as well, watching running, watching sports here and there. I think it's just for me, like I think sometimes we forget that we're statistics, we're numbers, we're just data. Like we sometimes get in our mind where we believe all we are is just a bib number and a time. And I think it's important to emphasize that you actually have a life outside of the sport. And to answer your question, I just normal student athlete lifestyle. I have a mom, I have a brother, I have friends, I have work, and I go to school. So it's just about the same as almost everyone else. It's just I have that little spice of I'm an athlete and ranked, and I have a lot of interesting. I had a pretty interesting lifestyle in life in general, but I mean it's just normal as everyone else.
Speaking of just, I guess, life, and speaking about being an athlete, what's something that you've learned about yourself that you think you would have not learned if you never ran or never did the sport of cross country or track?
You don't have to come from a well-established background, or come from a place where you already have everything figured out. Because for me personally, I grew up in a single-parent household in an inner city where I was pretty much always avoiding drugs, gangs, violence, and all that. All the stuff you typically hear from football players or even fighters or any athlete or anybody that comes from a rough background that does this type of stuff, sports or anything in general, which is different from most runners, because I think most runners come from a background of stable household, their family always supported their running, supported everything. I didn't come from that. I came from a single-parent immigrant household where we were in an inner city, and I think running was just a way to allow me to say that I represent a group of people that don't get represented, especially in this sport. It's very rare to see people like me in this sport where we don't come from beautiful grass, roses, and sunshine. And I think the one thing I learned about myself from the sport that I wouldn't have is just having the ability to just not care that I came from that. Always telling myself I'm special because I am able to push when it's hard. Because a lot of times we forget that we actually can go hard in anything. We can push hard. We can work hard. Because even like in the wild, animals will try to put effort in things. Let's say they're trying to catch like a dog trying to catch a squirrel up a tree. They'll try, bark, and eventually they'll back off and they'll give up. Humans have been able to not only develop fire, make a car, electricity, but anytime we see something difficult or hard or challenging, we persevere. This sport has shown me that I have that ability, and I don't need to feel bad that I didn't come from a place where I have everything. I can be successful even if I don't have the same resources as someone else.
This guy's a nerd. No, I'm joking. That was pretty well known. I agree with everything that you said. It's not very like, I think definitely in our sport too, it's not very talked about having a background like that. And I noticed that even when I was in high school, I think I was the only person. We have similar backgrounds. I think I was the only person in my high school team who had like a background that isn't very common amongst other people. They have stable households that, or they just money was never an issue for them. So it was always a little weird when they asked if we wanted to go out. But I'm like, I only got like $10 in my back pocket. I ain't going out nowhere. But speaking of that, so you had a lot of success in your life. Obviously, we're talking to the fastest community college athlete in California right now, fastest AK, pretty impressive. How do you define your success? Is it like PRs, the growth since you coming here? Like what define for you? How do you define it?
This is a question that I think a lot of people. It sounds like a simple answer. Like the simple answer could possibly be being winning races and getting times. But I think for me, it's just the fact of how I came from pretty much nothing and working my way up. Because running wasn't even my first sport. I was gonna go. I was gonna be a professional boxer. Because at that time, I wanted to support my mom financially. And eventually, I got deeper into boxing, and I almost went pro. Almost moved to Japan, and we were actually at a point training for the Olympics. But the one thing I think of is the fact that I went from this inner city kid to a fighter, to a runner, to not in contention committing to a D1 school is the success. Coming from here and just going all the way up here is the biggest accomplishment I have. And I think one of them, or the biggest ways I can define my success, is just the fact of setting an example, to be honest. Because there's probably, for someone watching this who's probably in my background, who is exactly in the position I'm in, right, like where I used to be in life, then the biggest success is just being an example. To be honest, when I ran my 24:47 8K, my stock rose, but I didn't care that I not only broke my personal best going sub 25 twice, and not only holding the school record currently, just the fact that I was able to be an example of someone that can show excellence in and outside of running. Because I think we always emphasize how fast this person is, oh, they ran this time. But when you look at them as a person, there isn't much to it. And I feel like my ability to have something deeper than just a time is my success. Being able to go in this interview right now, and just set an example for not only my teammates, maybe a friend watching, or even someone that wants to be in the position that I'm in. Being an example of excellence is really, truly my indicator of my success, because I can walk out of here and someone come up to me and ask me, how do you do it? And that they're impressed by me. That's when I know I've achieved what I wanted to achieve.
It's pretty good. Actually, I don't think I can answer that any better. That's actually a really good way to answer it. We've been kind of talking about this AK a lot. So run us through how you felt the day before the race, the day of the race, and how you felt after the race. Just go through how the first mile felt, the second, the third, the fourth, the fifth, and kind of like your emotions building up to it, knowing that your favorite team, the team that you want to go to, CBU, was there also racing.
Yeah. So this 8K race was a very important part of. And for anyone that doesn't understand why the significance of an 8K is important in community college, I'm going to break that down real quick. In community college, we don't run – cross-country is different in the sense of we run different distances. So in, let's say, D2, D1, D3 – I think D3 now, I think they switched from the 8K to 10K. But in that level, you're running 8Ks the majority of the season. Come championship season, conference, regionals, and then obviously NCAA championship, they run 10Ks. Community college, 4 miles straight across the board. In high school, it was 5K, and then 3 mile, then 2 mile. Community college, straight 4 miles. The 8K is the indicator for coaches that want to take transfers. Like, okay, this is how good they are competing at this level, because most 8Ks are in 4-year meets. So D1, D2, you're racing against everybody. So that's why the 8K is so important, because it's an indicator of how good you are at that level. and as a runner as well, because if you're a freshman in community college and you run 25:30, it's a good indicator of like, okay, he has potential. You run sub 25, you have a good shot of not only going a great D2 school, but even D1. So that's a little bit of background of why this 8K matters a lot in every community, even for him as well, in every athlete in community college running's career. So my personal story with my 8K. So I ran this 8K in the UC Riverside Invitational, which is obviously a meet in Riverside.
I never got my t-shirt, bro.
You never got your I don't know why. It's weird because it's like only for like the top 10 in the invite, which is
Yeah. Well, I guess it's more competitive. I don't know.
Because my team.
No. It was top 20 in the invite, top 10 in the opens.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah, because there's two different sections. There's an open and an invite. So the rest of my team was in the open. I was the lone wolf in the invite, which was scary. But we'll get into that much later on. So I came into the meet with a mindset of competing with those guys. I felt like I deserved to be on that line with them, and I deserved to one day wear a jersey like that. So day before, we went down the Riverside. We got there pretty early. We were able to eat, walk around. It was pretty relaxed. I wasn't nervous about the race because I think as a runner, we get nervous not more so about the race itself, but feeling pain, not competing, feeling bad, or losing. I was more so worried of just not competing with those guys. My goal for that race I wasn't scared to hurt. I wanted to run with those D1 guys and catch people. Foreshadowing a bit, but coming into, I guess, a couple hours before the race, like day before, everything was relaxed. Things did not go good. My diet completely changed. I don't eat meat before a race. Had to eat meat because that was the only option we had. I usually go to bed at for meats 8s, 9s. I had to go to bed at 10s or 11s because of stretching and people and all that. And morning of, I literally had only I got there at the meet at 6:30s. Early, I got there early. I only had 30 minutes to get my routine before a race figured out. So everything was kind of fast forward. So I didn't have everything perfect. But the morning of the meet when I was there, I can't even express the amount of zone in focus and relaxation I had. It wasn't even flow state, because flow state is completely different than what I felt. I felt just complete focus and relaxation, but ability to be aware of my surroundings. So there was a lot of support as well. My team was watching me. My high school coach came to watch with his daughter and wife, and the biggest person I wanted to see wanted to watch me race, the individual, the most important, is those 4-year colleges. So I got on the line, and I was not nervous at all. I actually had no nerves. I was breathing. I was relaxing. I was practicing. The whole day before when we did the pre-meet, I was practicing getting off the line. I did threshold reps on every curve, every hill, just to get an imagery of that race. I knew where every turn was, what the hard parts were, and where to relax. Pre-meet was great. And now I'm on the line, runner set, everything freezes. When you get on that line, you hear runner set, everything freezes, gun goes off, it goes out crazy. There's a swarm of people. I get up in the front, and then I look at my coach while I'm running. I turn back, and I see the first hill, because UC Riverside is a fast course, so it goes flat, hill, then a downhill, then another downhill, then an uphill, flat, downhill, flat, uphill, and then you do that again, and then you finish on a bit of a downhill in this flat. So it's a flat, compact dirt course, so I had to wear super shoes for that race. I got out, and I knew that if I was going to go in the front, I was going to go 4:30s. My goal was to try to go to go within 24:30s, 24:40s. My PR at the time was 24:54 in my freshman year, so I was trying to do that. I got out in the front, and I knew I was in a bad spot, so I'm going to accept it, and I slowed down. 30 people come in front of me. I'm getting pushed all over the place. The first mile was stressful because it goes out quick. I think the first mile for the invite was 4:34, 4:32. And I knew that, okay, if I go out with those guys, I'm going to die. So then I sat back. I was in 200th place, and I ran 4:55. Bro, like, imagine running a 4:50 in any race and being 200th place. So I was in a really I was in a carfuncle in a bit. I was cooked. So then I had to lock in quick, and I'm like, okay. The plan went perfect. I wanted to sit back and go into the 450 realm. Unfortunately, all the schools and all the people I wanted to get were way in front, so I had to work. So I'm going to fast forward a little bit. In the span of the first mile to the last mile, I passed about 96 people. So I went from 200th place, around 200th place, to 57th. And I think that was the highlight of the race, me being going from there to shooting up in the top 60.
That's all everyone was talking about for like the next like couple of days, was just the fact that you were able to catch so many people in the race.
Yeah, and I think that just comes down to just instinct, because I am a front runner, and it's very weird for me to sit back and catch people, because I like going up in the front and just pushing and making people hurt. But you can't do it, because I have to realize these guys are NCAA national contenders. These guys are running, probably repping easy 430 mile repeats. Their thresholds are probably in the low 450s. Like, these guys are legit, like, high level athletes. So I had to keep that. I had to humble myself and say, you know what? I'm not there. I'm not going to go with these guys, but I'm going to sure work my way up. Second mile comes. I come in at like a 5:01, which is really impressive, but not where I wanted to be. So then I just started cutting it down. I was repping like 455s, 459s, and I was catching people, catching. And then this is where it started to show the glimpses of my success. The fastest guy in community college, he was second in our California State meet in community college. He was always a contender for every race. He was only like 3 seconds away from me. And I'm like, I would rather die than not have the opportunity to get the experience to beat someone like that. I pass him on a hill, and I'm like, bet, cool. Little did I know that I started passing people from arguably one of the most well-known schools, Mount Sac. I started passing some people.
Was this during the second loop?
It was during the second loop, yes. So during the second loop, I didn't notice, but I started passing some Mount Sac individuals. And then I got the guy who was the fastest in community college. And then little did I know, I also passed the guy that was arguably the number one in Mount Sac. So I got him as well. Coming into that last mile, a little tip here, last 2K of a 10K and an 8K, that's when the race really begins. A 8K and a 10K is not an 8K, 10K race. It is a mile and it is a 2K race. It is a 2K race because the build-up, all this is the build-up.
Even in race walking for the 10K, it's the last 2K. It's like the first, I think, 8K and the 10K is just getting into position. The last 2K is really just like kind of making that move. Because
even like, I know people always bring up these individuals when it comes to running, but even the Africans, the Kenyans, they're well known to push the last Ks. And since I'm a Mexican runner, we do surges. In Latino running, we do surges. So I pretty much had to do all of that if I wanted to get anywhere near. And the main goal, which I was able to succeed, is beat a couple athletes from CBU. I was able to keep up with some of them. I passed a couple. Obviously, there was one CBU guy that outkicked me. He was here, and I was like, imagine I was here. He was right there. It was so... And he looked back and looked at me and stared at me while we were kicking because he didn't want to get outkicked. But, I mean, CBU is ranked like 15th in the nation. And, I mean, it was such an honor to be able to run with them. And I also talked to the coach as well. So, shout out to the coach. Most respect. And it was such a insane feeling because I passed the line. I didn't know what I ran. So then when I got told 24:47, that was when I knew, okay, this running is actually going good now. Because that's not only the school record here, but it's also just, it placed me high in community college rankings. And that's, I think, what made me become a threat now. is the fact that I ran that time because the 4-mile split was 19:57. And I felt like that race went perfect. I didn't feel much pain. I was pushing all out, most definitely, but I wasn't in pain. And I think that was the scary part. If I didn't feel pain doing that, and it was an 8K race, what happens is you put me in a 4-mile race. Flat, everything perfect. So the UC Riverside Invitational was definitely an experience I will never forget, and it's the reason why I'm going to have the capability to transfer out and not only run fast and have the opportunity to run at the highest level, but get a degree as well.
Speaking of all the success you had in the 8K and just running in general, I think we should go back a little bit to the basics and the roots. Why running? Like how did you how did you get into it? You talked about boxing, so I'm assuming you try to do some extra cardio for boxing. I'm assuming, but just talk to us about how come you chose running, and then when did you realize not that you have to drop boxing, but just more of I love this sport and I think I want to do this sport in college.
Question. So, my journey begins at 12 years old. I ran pretty much the majority of my life, especially from 12 all the way to now 19. I started boxing and running at the same time, literally smack on the same time. Obviously, it's your cliche, starting in PE. I broke sub-6 at 12 years old. And then from there, I was able to consistently just run fast. I would do long runs where I would average 6:30s. When I began to run in middle school, I actually got recruited by my high school coach in middle school. I went to visit the school. He went there and he's like, when you come to this high school, you're running for me. I'm like, okay, sweet. I had success in which I broke 5 as a freshman, and I broke 10 in the 3200 running 9:52 in the CAF Finals Championship at Mount Carmel. And that was kind of a big deal because that was a school record at the time, and I had a lot of success at that. Boxing was not only there just because I liked it, but also because it was a way for me to – because I didn't – at that time, it was tough. My mom became a single mom. I was avoiding every shenanigans, and at the time too, it was just difficult because your mental health comes into play as well, and it was difficult for me because I got diagnosed some things that you don't see in a young kid, and it affected me a lot. But I felt boxing was that avenue to be able to have success and be financially well. Running didn't come into play until junior year, where it actually started getting serious because my mom said, you got to start thinking about college. And she doesn't want me to do this boxing thing because boxing is very destructive. It doesn't just affect your mind and your brain. It affects your body, your health. Most boxers coming out of their career, it's terrifying. And if you can even, there's a boxer named Meldrick Taylor. Search up how he spoke before and after, and then you tell me if the sport is you definitely won't want to do it at that. But I love this sport a lot, especially boxing. But my high school coach, he wanted me to come back to running. He's like, I know what you're trying to do. I don't want you doing that. And at that time, I have a record of 1-1, 1 win, 1 loss. The 1 loss, I almost knocked the kid out. I broke his nose, and I almost dropped him in the second round. My first win ever in an amateur fight. I stopped the kid in the third round. It was a technical stoppage, and I was every gym knew who I was. I was actually going to go pro. And the thing about it is I fought at 106 pounds, so I was a little dude. So I'm still a little dude, bro. I'm still a little dude, but
he barely weighs 100 pounds soaking wet.
Hey, but I can run though. I got them hands and I got them legs. But yeah, junior year it was coming down to where I started feeling symptoms of my sport. And then my high school coach was like, come to track. We're having track practice. Please just come. So I came to practice, and at the time, I was getting ready for a fight. And I remember a couple weeks in, I'm like, you know what? I got to just go in with this running. Because this boxing stuff is too one-dimensional. You either go pro, stay there for the rest of your life, and then after figure it out. Running, you have high school, college, then you get a degree. Then you can go post-running, but then you have a degree to help you financially. And then on top of that, you got knowledge, then you got connection. You see how it builds more and more and more, rather than just amateur, pro, figure it out. There's so many different avenues. And I eventually, one day, I I was like, you know what? I was in the locker room and I decided, you know what? I'm gonna go in with this. I'm gonna go in with running. I have amount of respect for the coaches I had when I boxed. I had so much respect for every athlete that I had the honor to train with. But my life wasn't letting me do that, and I felt like running was the one sport that allowed me to do it. And even some of my former boxing coaches, they were like, we respect your decision because you actually have the talent. And first race ever, 6 months of no running specific training, just boxing and some running here and there. I ran in Arcadia, in the Arcadia track, ran 4:28. That's where I ran my 4:20. Almost 6 months of no running, and then from that point on, I felt like running was my avenue because it allowed me to represent a group of people that don't get represented enough. My people, Hispanics, people that just come from fighting backgrounds, tough backgrounds. But most of all, man, this sport is just electric, bro. You got to have running is flamboyant. Like, this is actually a flamboyant. It's a flashy sport because, like, at the highest level, it's flashy. And I just love the fact that running opens so many doors in my life. But on top of that, who doesn't like running fast? It's crazy when you see these guys like see us train, the gear, everything. It's just an experience you just can't explain because running's such a primal thing in the human experience, and being great at it and doing it at a high level and sometimes even getting paid or even going to a D1 school, you can't beat it, bro. You just can't beat it.
My bad, bro.
No, you're good.
Okay, speaking of running, now let's get into the tentacle side. Tentacles. I did not say tentacles.
Tentacles.
I'm cutting that out.
Peak dyslexia.
What's your favorite workout? Like, what is your favorite workout and why? And not only that, what is your least favorite workout?
All right, you're gonna hear me crash out right now. So I'll start with my favorite, and then I'll go into my least favorite. My favorite workout either has to be long duration thresholds, double thresholds, or just some good old fashioned mile repeats, cut down mile repeats. It is just an incredible. I love mile repeats or any repeats where you cut down because it takes a lot of mental ability to stay focused to hit those splits, but it's also just impressive because I'll give an example of a workout we did. I'll give one example of a workout. So we did a workout where we had some mile repeats and we started at. Actually, no, we'll go 800 repeats. I'll give you an example just to show.
I know which one he's talking about too.
I like any repeats. So 800 a mile repeats, I love them. So I'll give an example. We had a workout where we did a run. We did a bit of a threshold work before the run. So my threshold's around like 5 flat, 503. His is just maybe like 508.
508, 510.
510s.
Yeah.
So we did that first. We did a couple miles at that, and then we did 4 800s. Started at around VO2 max 5K pace, cut down. So my splits for that was...
It's fine. I pretty much remember the other questions.
Yeah. But my splits for the 8s were 218, 217, 210, and then the big... And this is the one that I think our coach loved a lot. 201. We came in 59, and then I came through the last 461. And that was really that's my favorite type of stuff, so just cut downs. And we had some mile repeats recently where we did mile at straight VO2 max, and then our coach decided, you know what, screw it, go faster. So I went 438 and then 429.
Dog. Pure dog.
And
Kidding me though.
and then now you're gonna hear me rage quit. My least favorite workouts are 100% without a shadow of a doubt. Any workout with 500 meters. A 500 meter. My guy. Okay.
Hey, yo. Like 500 meters is less or just 500 meters?
500 meters.
Is that number?
Running any workout with 500 meters in mind and or progressive threshold work. I'm gonna crash out in the 500s first. Why do you need to run 100 meters when you can just do a 600 or a 400? Why? Why do you need that? 500 meters does not develop the speed as a 200, because as a 600. 600, you can develop endurance speed because you have 400 extra 200. 400, duh, speed. Why 500? Why that extra 100 meters? On a curve? You're not telling me, oh, we can just start. No. You're running. You're going to start at the 400 meter mark. You're going here. You're going to run on a curve. Zen. I have to have some form of professionalism. So I'll just leave it at that.
I know.
But don't even get me started on you. But my other least favorite is just any sort of threshold done incorrectly. Threshold is supposed to be done at a specific pace, done at that pace, and stay there as long as possible. I hate when that's progressive. When a coach says we're gonna go at this threshold pace and then we can go faster. No, that's not the point of threshold. Threshold is about being consistent and having a pain scale of just like a 5 to a 6 and maybe even a 7, and just staying there for the whole workout. No cut downs, consistent, and that's how it should be. And those are my least favorite ones. And I guess you could also say like anything where it's like odd speed development, where you have like speed workouts where you have like 30-second rests. That doesn't really make sense. That's not how speed works. But also love double T. Double thresholds is actually W.
This guy's weird.
It's just fun.
Talking about 500. It's such an odd number. He's like 500 specifically.
I like 300s. 300s, 600s, and 1Ks. But 500, I just can't get past that. Why only 100 meters? But anyways, here you go.
You would hate our race walking workouts. We have a workout that's like 10 500s on and off. So you do 5 on, 5 off, 5 on, 5 off, and it's just 500s.
No. Be a man and just run 600 or 400s. That's all I have to say. Or even 800s if you're actually like, if you have testosterone.
If you have it. So now talking about racing and workouts, I'll ask you 2 more questions and I'll get out your hair. And then, do you remember your first time winning a race?
First time. Okay. Yeah.
If so, like just talk about it. Like talk about how you felt going to the race. Did you think you were gonna win it? Like just what was the emotion? Because I still remember the first time me winning my race.
So I ran at a school called Liberty Charter High School. Shout out. Our school was D5. No. Okay, your school had like 1,000 people. My school had like 360. We didn't have a track, and we are D5. So obviously our races, the talent pool was actually pretty impressive. Like we had a bunch of guys sub 10, low 450s. So I think my sophomore year, I won a 1600 meter race. I remember I told myself, like, when we're in the third lap, I'm going to push. Because that's when everyone hurts in a mile race or any sort of, like, even the 1500. Like, the second to last lap is where everyone mentally just loses focus. And being able to just push in that third lap is more important than having an insane kick last lap. Because if you're not in position, it's not going to work. And if you're not also able to make people hurt, there's no point in doing it. So I won that. And I just had extreme excitement, like the highest high you've ever felt ever. And it was such a great feeling because winning, for me, the goal isn't just winning. It's making the other person hurt. I want to hurt more than the other guy. I want to hurt more than the other guy because my pain, my level of hurting here, no one can handle that. So I want to make you hurt so bad that you're giving up is me just getting started. And that was the plan for that race, make them hurt as bad as possible. And I did that. And as a sophomore, I beat juniors and seniors. And it was a good feeling. I definitely enjoyed that. But at the end of the day, like, I think my most fondest memory of winning a race most definitely was probably, there's a couple, but I never was really had that one defining win because unfortunately my competition in high school was stacked. I was racing against the best guys in Division 2. So it was like in Division 2. So I guess winning league meets where I ran my 1540, I actually ran it solo in high school and I won that by like a landslide. But I think my recent favorite one was probably the Go West Go West was actually very fun because I was actually
got hawked down so bad.
Because the plan was, it was actually a week before Riverside, so I didn't want to run it. I ran it. I was tempoing. I actually was tempoing it. I was trying to go like at 5:10s, and I was able to do that. And then last mile, I'm like, okay, this feels fine. So I started just gunning. Like I think my last mile was like 4:50. It was 4:50.
Yeah, because I barely went. I went like 5:01, 5:02. You still passed me and made room.
Yeah, I think I dropped 4:50 last mile, and I started going, and then eventually my coach, who was taking pictures, he's like, I mean, you can just go, and I'm like, cool. And I passed the guy who was gonna win the race. I felt so bad because he looked at me, started pushing, and I pushed him, and he just wasn't able to hang on. And that was probably my favorite one because that one got me noticed, and then going to Riverside, it just made it even better. So I guess my sophomore year league meet and then Go West is probably my favorite ones. And yeah, but winning my first race was definitely a memorable high.
Not gonna lie, he did hawk me down. He was like maybe 10 meters behind me coming to that mile, and then I see this dude just pass me, and I'm trying to catch the dude who's in first at the time. Yeah. And I felt like that one scene from Cruise where it's like release the baby, and he just went and he got him. Yeah, that was actually, it was funny just to be in it and just to watch it as well. Now the last question, simple little question. Do you have any runners or boxers that you look up to? Like obviously we know with me, my favorite runner is Grant Fisher, which is why in the beginning of the track season I kind of copied my form to look like him, and my form kind of is on that side. Do you have any runners who inspire you or who you think like, anything like that? Just speak.
So for me personally, I don't really look up to any one runner or any one individual because I feel like I don't know. It's weird because I guess for running, there's one runner that I really like, and this is going to show how much of an absolute nerd I am. His name is Zersane Tedesse. He's a runner from Eritrea. 5'3", 114 pounds. He beat Kenese Bigakele. He is an Olympic bronze medalist, and he ran like, I think sub 12:59 and 26 like 40s in the 10K at my height, and he grew up in Eritrea. Eritrea is now a war zone now, unfortunately. Athletes like that, I really respect a lot, because there isn't one runner, one athlete, or even one anybody I look up to the most. I think the thing is I respect those athletes. Grant Fisher, I respect. I like Haile Gebrselassie. I like Daniel Coleman. I also like my fair share of like some like. I obviously really like Joshua Cheptegei, and even in boxing, there's a guy named Ricardo Lopez. He was 51-0 as a boxer, and Mark Johnson. But I think in general for me, I don't really have one athlete I look up to. I just more so look at athletes, take what they had, and just apply it for me. And in general, I think the one thing like I guess I can say about that is like, man, just do your research on those type of people. Like, look at them, see what they do, take it, and see how it works for you.
Good response. So that's going to wrap up the interview today. Hope you guys learned a lot about Ivan, the fastest 8K runner in the state of California. I'm predicting right now, 100 bands. No, I'm joking. He's going to win state. I'm predicting he's going to win state. I'm predicting that hopefully our team also wins the state meet. I kind of want a ring. That'll be pretty cool.
That would be sick.
Yeah, besides that, that's pretty much it. Hope you guys enjoy this video.